And hello, everyone. Good evening once again. Welcome to your Sunday Tonic. It's Conversation with the Love Crusader. And we are coming to you with another exciting edition of the conversation this evening. It's going to be, it promises to be very, very exciting. Like, if you do not know, this is our domestic abuse month. We are dedicating a whole month and an entire month to talking about domestic abuse on this platform. And today we're talking about domestic abuse part 2. So we started last Sunday. We had some people here, some very wise people, and we had someone who even shared her experience with us, a survivor of domestic abuse who shared her experience with us. It was very, very interesting. And I trust that this evening will have another interesting edition. So please, if you have not done so, subscribe to our channels, share the video, invite your friends. Like I always say on this platform, the knowledge we share here can save someone. The knowledge you share can help someone. So please, uh, kindly share. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell your friends. And I have with me today some very powerful people. I don't know whether Sake is in this introduction, but we just must introduce him. Sha, you know. You remember that, my friend? I always tell people the friend that was introduced by the Holy Spirit. That's the kind of the bestest friend that you can have. The one that God by himself say, oh yeah, take, this is your friend. Yoruba will say Moreni Kejimi, it becomes your second, your partner. That's Sake. Otumba Oluwakayode. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
It's
evening.
nice to be
Welcome.
back here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's nice to have you. And the person who just disappeared on us, I hope she's coming back, is Pastor Margaret. Pastor Margaret Collins. We call her Mark Collins. It's her first time on this platform, so I tried to do a very, very good introduction. First of all, Pastor Mark Collins is my wife. I like to claim good things. So she's a music minister. She's a mother, she's a pastor, she's a teacher of the word, she is a deliverer. She rescues women, children, youth. She grows, you know. I like her thoughts and her focus about the youth, growing them and helping them become who God wants them to be. So we are so excited to have Mark Collins here today. You want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. You're welcome on board. I want to appreciate you, my sister, my friend, Pastor Comfort. Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I like it when I see matured people because I know that we're going to have a matured conversation. But at the same time, we are here to have fun as much as we can. It's a conversation. Let's just try and get into it. We'll try to first do a bit of definition. So, for Pastor Margaret, it's your first time on the platform. Once you come to this platform, you must first you must give us your definition of love. So that's where we'll start from. You define love in your own words. What is
Okay.
love?
Okay. I'm going to define love from the author of love. God is love. And from his book, the Old Bible, First Corinthians chapter 13, from verse 4, it says, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love does not take records of wrong, love forgives. So that is my own definition of what love is.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I like the attributes. Good. So because this platform, we say it's conversation with the Love Crusader, and we are all about love. That's where we always start from. Yeah, and I agree with you. God is love. Love is God, and if we're God's children, then we must just love. All right, let's come to the topic. We'll get also a definition, your definition of domestic abuse. This time, let's go to Sake. How do you define domestic abuse?
Okay. domestic abuse has been for ages. Like the common slang in Nigeria now, they will say is not your mate. Domestic abuse is not our mate. No, it has been passed from generation to generation. And the reason why we've adapted to it is because some people don't know the both sides of having a life free of abuse and having a life of abuse. So now you see those two sides gives you the insight in which you are. So at times some people don't know they're being abused because they've never seen a different world. So some people grew up in that kind of world, some people did not. Some people met it along the line and they grew to accommodate and say yes, it's part of life. So we choose to accept what shouldn't be accepted, and we make the abnormal the norm. Thereby we adapt as human beings to the abuse. And some people say, I have a thick skin. No, you have a huge problem. You don't have a thick skin. It's a huge problem. And the problem is that you cannot diagnose that you have been abused. And that's the first step in treating a person that is in domestic abuse. That's the first step, making them to realize that they are being abused. And so sorry to say, many many of us go through such on a daily note, and we don't understand or we don't know that we are victims of what is called an abuse or whatsoever. So we say we live in a cruel world and we tend to accommodate it. No, we shouldn't. We should start the campaign by itemizing those things that should not and those things that we cannot accept. You are muted.
Apologies, I was muted. Yeah, you're not beginning to go forward a bit, so let me stop you there before we come to all those things that, that's the essence of the platform, to create awareness about it. And I totally agree with you. The major issue is that many don't even know that they are being abused. And that is the reason why we are trying to create as much awareness of it as possible. So, Mark Collins, tell us your definition of domestic abuse.
Thank you so much. My own definition of domestic abuse is all about control. It's all about gaining power over someone else. God made each and every one of us to dominate over the things He has made, not to dominate over another person, another human being. So, domestic violence is all about trying to gain power, gain control over another person, another life. So it's about time we talk much about this so that people will be aware of what domestic abuse is. Some people have been abused and they are not aware that they have been abused. So because they don't know what an abuse is. So domestic violence is about gaining power, gaining control, manipulating another human being. That's my
Hmm.
own
I like that.
definition.
I like that because control issues control issues is one of the major roots of domestic abuse. When you are in a relationship where you now try to control the other person, and I tell you, it's very very subtle in some cases. So even the abuser might not even know that they are exhibiting such traits. And the abusee, if there's anything any word like that, the person who is being abused too might not even understand the level of what is going on. All right, so like I said, we really want to be able to create enough time to talk about it today. The types and the various signs of the types. So let's start. Let me see how many types you want to give us. What are the different types of abuse, so that somebody who doesn't know will know that these types exist.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me just itemize some of the type of domestic abuse. We have physical abuse, we have sexual abuse, we have
Oh,
emotional abuse or intimidation. someone trying to intimidate another person. We have isolation. What do I mean by isolation? Somebody trying to stop you from being free to move around, to go to wherever you desire to go. So you are being isolated from visiting family, or family visiting you. We have verbal abuse, like threats and blaming, putting blame on the other person. We have using male privilege, like, oh,
Mm.
I'm a man in the society, you are supposed to be under me. In the society, male rules. In the society, this using male privilege. And the last one I have here is economic or financial abuse.
Mm.
Economic or financial abuse. If I'm going to pick them one by one, I would start with sexual abuse. Sexual abuse has to do with forcing you to participate in non-consensual acts. Forcing you. The word force is there. It's not from you. You are being controlled, you are being forced, you are being manipulated to do something that you don't want to do at that particular time, including sexual assault and rape, demeaning behaviors, infidelity, and exploitation. Number two, physical abuse. Any
Oh, no,
behavior
no, no,
that
no. Yes, sis, hold on. We have to be dealing with it very well. We're not just going to
okay.
rush it. Calm down. Calm down. So let's talk about sexual abuse. There are some questions we need to talk about around sexual abuse. And we touched a bit about it last week. And I tried to pull out the fact that sexual abuse is even beyond just, it's not just about husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Even relatives, children experience sexual abuse. Some of them are raped, and stuff like that. So we really need to talk about this. It might not even get up to rape, and this is a tricky question I want us to deal with when it comes to sexual abuse. Because with partners, for example, some people will say, how can you even claim that a man raped his wife? Sake, I'm coming to you. Is it possible for a man to rape his wife?
Definitely.
Ah, really? He paid for her bride price now. He paid for her head.
Yes, I tell my wife every time that I carried yam to the house. I made a bargain. I took yam and I have a son and a wife out of the yam. I won.
Congratulations, you have receipt.
I want such negotiation. But it is possible for an husband to rape the wife and vice versa. Why?
Mm,
Because anything you do without your consent, anything that is being done not out of free will, is time to be forced. So when both sides are not ready or not willing to do certain things and you force them to do it, including having sex, then on that side, it is a rape. And a lot of people, I would say, oh, what's the guy saying? Yes, what's he saying? But the point is, can you put yourself on the other side of the coin? And let me see how you feel about it each time. I've had some mothers saying that the moment my children have their own income, I will show this man. They've been under abuse for years,
mm,
all different kind of abuse. So they are waiting for that financial freedom from their children for
mm,
them to show their true color. So on that abuse, on that basics, you could see that that woman has been going through so many abuse. It could still be sexual abuse as well. But because she wants to please the man to pay the children's school fees, and the man to do the normal thing which is meant to do, which is not a favor but a responsibility, then at that point in time, that is a pure abuse, both by sexual, both financial, or whatsoever we're talking about. But my point still remains that traditional men from the kind of the world we come from don't accept that as an abuse, but we should start drawing the line.
mm,
We should
mm,
start drawing the line because trust me, the future of the coming generation depends on it. This generation have so much problems because they face such abuse growing up from their parents and mothers. So it doesn't make them to have a complete sense of humanity. So
Hmm.
when we start drawing that kind of line, you will see that we start producing a very good and excellent next generation.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
starts from things like this.
Thank you, Sake. Mama Mag Collins, do you agree with Sake that a man can rape his? Let's be very, very practical. We're Africans.
So,
Eh?
yes,
This
so
man has paid
yes,
the bride price of
I
this
agree
woman, so
with him.
it's right for this
I
woman to
agree with
sleep
him
with him and
because
for him to sleep with. So why should we be talking about rape, husband and wife?
I agree
Tell
with him perfectly. Because anything that is being forceful, that is out of your consent, that you did not consent to, is rape. Somebody is trying to force you to do what you are not supposed to do. It's not
but,
okay.
okay, wait. Let's just be, how will I put it? Let's balance it. You are married. Why would you not do now? You said I will do. You stood at the altar or you went to your village or whatever style of marriage you did. And you say I do. Now, why is there any reason? I'm just trying to ask the question to say, is there any reason why someone will not want to do?
Yes, there are many reasons to it.
Okay,
So many
okay.
reasons we can't even finish it all. But most of the common reasons are either decisions made by both partners. What I mean decisions, steps, and the character they've put forward in recent times. Now you cannot expect a man that goes sleep around and comes in and starts to sleep with a wife. You want to make her fall sick? I'm so sorry to digress, but this will make more sense. I used to know a girl that years before the brother was probably my classmate. Years after the sister was my classmate. So I take the sister as if she's my younger sister in class, right? Then she was this very polite, nice girl. All of a sudden, she became this harsh, abusive individual in the class. And even despite the fact that she had that kind of character, I still shielded her throughout school. And the funniest thing was at the point I was a victim of her harshness. I was just like, okay, it's fine. People had to beat her up for me, like, no, please don't go there. Then years after, I got to know the real truth that the father had HIV, gave it to the mother, and died. So the mom is in an average age that she can't remarry. She's lonely with the girl, the only two of them. So literally, when she sees men as being beasts. So she lashed out on everybody. You know why? Because the father that was an hero went from an hero to a villain in just a month. Got to know the father had HIV and he died, and the mother has HIV as well, and she's still taking care of her own. Why? Because the father went to bring it into the house. That is one way to look at it. So to me, I believe this is very easy. If you can talk things over and you guys can continue to have this conjugal relationship with yourself, what's the end of staying in the marriage
Hmm.
before abuse starts coming in?
Sake has gone to another level. Oh. What is the essence of staying in the marriage? That level now is another level entirely. Calm down first. Be calming down, Sake. Be calming down. Remember that they say it's for better for us. Okay, Sake, hold on. Mama, so what do we do? I just want us to wrap up that sexual area so we can move because, like I said, it's going to be a lot today. So, what do we do if we are having a situation where it, someone has a situation where she's being raped or he's being raped? Because I've even heard that some women rape their husbands. The man is saying, "I'm tired, I'm not in the mood," and the woman is like, "It's not all you must do." So can somebody report? Can you report that kind of thing?
Ah,
Can you report marital rape? What can you do about
ah.
it?
To report to
I
who?
think
Finish
the
the
both
report.
both parties
Finish the
talk about it.
statement. Report to who exactly?
Okay, wait, Mama will tell us who. Maybe she has idea. Okay.
I don't know.
You don't.
What I wanted to say, I don't, because I believe two of them should sit down and talk about it. And if it is now consistent, I think a third party should come in. Someone that can understand and can bring the two of them together to talk about their issues, how to resolve it. Because this is very, very, very personal, private, and at the same time is sensitive, because you don't know who you can uh, tell about it. They may take you as in, oh, what are you saying? What do you really want to say about this? Some people
So
may not
does
even
this mean,
believe.
hold on, Mama. Does this mean that marital rape cannot be prosecuted? Okay, I should not be asking you guys, you are not lawyers. Next
Cannot be
week,
what?
lawyers are coming on this matter. I'm bringing
Cannot be
lawyers
what?
here. Cannot be prosecuted.
No, the
I think
point
they
is
it
it can.
can. It
It
can.
can. But the point is after the prosecution, what happens next?
If you ask me
Oh,
now, I go ask.
So we are back to the square one. See, I discussed with my wife like last week, right? In a case where she was like, now they should put a clause in the marriage certificate about domestic abuse. So I said, okay, very good. When they put a clause like, okay, if you abuse your wife, they beat you or they lock you up. When he comes back from the jail, what happens?
Okay, I'll leave that question hanging because I leave
What
that question.
happens?
Let's move to the type that is most common: physical abuse. This one is what everybody sees and knows, and maybe feel like is the worst,
Ultimate.
because people die from it. Do you get what I mean? You can lead to the death of people and all that. Can we just talk about some of the, will I say, signs, or before it gets to the point where someone is dying? You know, um, okay, I don't know whether as Nigerians, because even if we're not living in Nigeria, we're Nigerians, we can even talk about domestic abuse now without talking about Tosinachi. It's one of the most popular examples. So before it got to the point of death, what could this woman have done? Let's talk about it. Physical abuse.
Number one, to deal with married couple is a very difficult situation. To deal with boyfriend and girlfriend self is difficult. First, talking of married couple with children, right? And at the same time, we need to learn forgiveness. At the same time, be smart. Now, when I say learn forgiveness. If I learn how to forgive someone, you won't get to the point of eating that person. You won't get to the point of saying, this person must feel a pain. If you learn how to forgive, forgiveness starts from you that has been hurt before you inflict the pain.
Hmm.
Now, I get skeptical about people that beat their chest and said, me, this person did this to me. When I hear that kind of statement from you, I run. Because at that point, the next thing that comes to your mind is how we want to destroy everything. So now, in the case where an husband lifts his hands to slap the wife or beat the wife or vice versa, you get my point. One of them or both of them need to start learning how to forgive before even making a judgment.
Hmm.
I have a friend that said the only one time she slapped her husband, the husband punched the door and the door came down. So since then, she has been putting herself in the position of the door. Like, okay, if I have received this punch, I would have survived this.
And that is keeping her hand. She will never slap
So
again.
she keeps her hand to the back, no matter how they're arguing. Like, oh no, you cannot force me to slap you. No, it's not going to happen again. You see, at that point, she had to first forgive herself.
Hmm.
So the point in which abuse gets to killing, that marriage is no longer working. Make we not deceive ourselves, because you've gone beyond the point of forgiving that person. Every
Okay.
single thing she does or he does, you have to put a pain on it.
All right. I'm going to be doing little interruptions now because, like I said, there's a lot that we need to talk about. And my 1 hour is not always enough. When we start this gist, 1 hour is not enough for me again. I don't know what to do with it. But so from what you're saying now, I want to draw out a question. When do you now begin to say it's enough? Because I know that physical abuse doesn't just one day get to the point of killing someone.
It's a
It
build up.
usually starts with maybe one slap first, and then second time maybe they hold your throat, the next time push you to the wall. You know what I mean? It begins to, when the abuser sees that they've slapped you and they got away with it, the next point they will aggravate it to the next level. So
Hmm.
question, yeah, that's how it is. It grows. Physical abuse
Okay.
grows. So when do you say it's enough? When do you, some people will say, oh, once a man slap me, I'm gone. Is it one slap? Is it two slap? Should you stay and take up to 10 slap before you say, okay?
Do you know how many homes that person will visit in the space of 100 years in which he will live on earth? For everywhere he gets a slap, she leaves, or vice versa.
Yes. Mm.
You can't. We live in a world where everything is broken. You need to fix it. Where the
Mhm.
problem is when you see that this particular fixing is not fixing.
It's not
You're trying to
fixing.
fix it and it's not. To me, I went to school where both the slappy and the slapper will be punished. So you see, at times when you step on someone, the person that feel the hurt will tell you sorry. Before you guys don't want to aggravate to the point of where they will say, "Yeah, to come and explain," or "Yeah, go home." You see,
Mm,
why? Because you need to apportion blame for even the people that provoke for the domestic violence.
mm,
Now, this thing we're talking about, it grows because the husband slaps the wife today, and the wife does the same thing that made him to slap him the other day. I'm like, I slapped you for doing this the other day. Now you are still doing that thing even more with a sharp mouth. Now I will teach you a lesson today. Can you see? They are both growing. It's a growth process for both of them.
mm.
Both the person provocating and the Almighty God that want to punish the offender. You see where the problem is. So that is why I feel, see, this has no gauge. It has no gauge. It has no measurement. It just has to do with you people trying to forgive and forget whatsoever the build up has been previously. You see
Hmm.
where it is?
So
Because there's
welcome.
always a precedence.
Yes, come in, Mama, come in.
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry for interjecting you. Something just came to my mind. Recently, there's a situation where I had to get involved in with a lady that was being physically abused, mentally abused, and psychologically abused, and it got to a state that she cannot just leave. No, these people that have been abused, living is one of the problems because the brain is being programmed and conditioned to stay in that abusive relationship. And people around should be on a watch for their loved ones that are being abused so that they will have to take them out when life is being threatened, when life is being involved. This particular person was hospitalized in an hospital, beaten, all manner of assault, and went back again, and the same thing happened and all that. So such people, they need someone to help them to come out before they lose their life. So when you talk about that, the timing of pulling out, I think this is very, very critical. People around should help them to come out because they cannot come out because their mind, their brain is being programmed to stay in there.
Hmm.
I agree with you. This is the reason why sometimes those of us who work with this kind of people or uh, 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 we get frustrated because if it looks like you're telling this woman, auntie, what are you still sitting there? They will kill you, but she's still there. It's a psychological thing, that has they get to the point where they don't even see any other life that is possible. And apart from them, the people around them also make things worse, because the society where we live in some societies, for example, again, Nigeria, where we are, relatives will be telling her, so ibo lo fẹ́ gbá àwọn ọmọ mẹ́ta lọ. Why am I speaking Yoruba now? Okay, so where are you going to with 3 children? Or they'll ask you, where are you going to with 4 children? Where will you leave your children and go to? This one, stay for the children. You hear things like that. They don't encourage you to say leave, or, even when they can physically see that you are physically wounded, emotionally wounded, they want to encourage you to continue to be Mrs. And we've heard stories of how some people went back home and their parents will still bundle them back to the husband's house. Yeah. So these are all the situations around. But if you have someone who is being physically abused, I agree that you cannot just say because of one slap, you carry your load and you move. You will marry 10. According to Sakeye, he said you will marry 100 men. I know that it's not acceptable, even the one slap. But yes, we can excuse it that, oh, this person was angry at this point. And if they are willing to work so as not to repeat it, then it's easy. But if it becomes a continuous affair, brother, I say brother because some women beat their husbands. Thank God Sake used the example of the sister now. Said, sister, the woman slapped the man. And the man was so much of a gentleman. Instead of punching her, he punched the door. God bless that man. She learned her lessons. She learned her lessons. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are in a situation where it is a continuous thing, please, for your sanity and for your life's sake, get out. Find help. Speak out. Speak out. Speak out. Call someone. Tell someone. Because they know they die put to. Dead body no they marry. May I talk for our local parlance, as we will say it in our African parlance. Dead body no they marry. No matter
Bye bye.
the noise we make. Somebody like, for example, snatches gone. God forbid the husband, not God forbid, the husband might go to jail. What happens to the children? The entire family is broken, is scattered. And it will take a lot, the trauma for those children, it will take a lot to work on them to heal from that trauma. So please, please don't let them tell you to stay for the children. Live for your children. Live for your children. Don't say, oh, I'm staying because of my children. Okay. So that was physical. Let's move quickly. Economic abuse. Last week here, one of our speakers said to us, oh, I just realized that I was economically abusive in my own relationship. Unfortunately, he's divorced, but I hope God will just heal. Since he's coming to the point where he's understanding it now that he was abusive in his relationship. So you withhold money. Examples. Let's talk about them. Economic abuse.
Number one, it starts from you only spend when you are happy with her.
Heh.
That's number one, or vice versa,
You only spend when you're happy with that.
or vice versa. That's an
Okay.
abuse.
All
Reason
right.
being that means you using your money, or she's using her money to
To
control
control.
you. See, number one, I hate people that. Oh, sorry, I don't want to use it. It's too harsh, but I dislike people that sit on favors. And when you have an husband or a partner that uses money to control you, you are in serious trouble.
Mm,
Serious one. Because the moment you are in disagreement with certain silly things, his financial constraint, that is when he knows he's tying the rope. Like, you're not getting this. So most times, instead of you expressing yourself, you'll be like, if I talk, you will not give me this thing. No. Then you keep quiet. And
mm,
you bottle it up. And you bottle it
mm,
up to the point where you forget who you are and you lose your identity.
mm,
It's even more powerful. Is I can say it's closer to psychological abuse. Because when you control the dog and you lock the dog up for so many nights in a dark place, when that dog finally gets out, at times it might go back to that dark place. because he's mentally restricted in that place. And
Okay, Mama,
economical whatever is dangerous.
Mama, tell us economic abuse.
Economic abuse is very, very common with women that are not financially empowered. Like, for instance, you are not allowed to work, you are not allowed to do business, you are not allowed to spend some certain money. Even some people cannot give offering if they are not being given offering in church. You can see how terrible it can be. You are being controlled, manipulated. Sometimes your name is on a document that you don't even give permission to. So those are the things that you see when somebody is financially abused. You don't have control of anything that is called money, anything that is called empowerment. So this thing is seriously happening in many homes
Okay.
that women
Oh,
are just there. After your certificate, you have masters, you have doctorate, you cannot go out to work. If you go out to
hmm.
work, they will start monitoring you. Where are you? Where are you? Where what are you doing? They are just obsessed or just like that. So
Okay.
I think
You
this
said
this
something
this
about women, Mama. You said something about women who are not financially buoyant. How about women
yeah,
who even have money and are still being abused because the man wants to
yes,
control the money? Let me give you an example. I have heard of women who work, they earn money, and they have to give all of the money to the husband. Then the husband will not give them from it to say this is one you can spend for yourself. Or if he decide that he will not even give them from it, he decide what happens to the money. What
that
do you say
is
about
true. That
that? Men who wants to tell a woman what to do with the money she earns. Sake, let's Sake answer us as a man first, and I'll come to you, Mama. You say your own. What
Okay,
do you have to
now
say to that?
what you said now is on both sides.
Okay.
Now the difference is if they both have an agreement on how money should be spent in the house. For example, let me give an example. They are both working, right? And the woman earns and put all her money in her husband's account, for example. And the husband says, you cannot go and do hair 3 times a week. You can't go on flashy nails 2 times in a week. Because me myself, I'm doing haircuts once a month. We are saving towards certain things. In that aspect, that's a common goal. But in a case where the man takes the money, goes out with friends, flex, then restricts you to buying recharge card and buying airtime,
Hmm.
that is where abuse is. Because tell me something, right? See, that abuse goes both sides. The woman might not be working as well, and the man is storing money in her account because he doesn't want to spend the money. And the day he needs the money, like, my dear, where's the money? I've spent the money. That's another abuse entirely.
Okay. Okay, Mama,
Because
tell
it's
us your own
monkey the
version.
work, baboon the shop.
Mama, tell us your own version.
yes, she is very, very right that some women are working and the okay, you were the one that was talking about women that are working.
Yes, they
Let me
make
pick it.
money.
uh, I know of some women that are working, they are making their money, and this money is being spent by their husband to either go and drink with friends, carry women, and all that. And when this woman is saying that, what about the money I kept with you? Go and sit down and spend it. And when this woman started talking about, no, I cannot continue like this, that's when the physical abuse and the emotional abuse started coming in. I'm still referring back to a situation where we just handled not too long. That
Mm.
when she said that, no, this money, no, I'm not going to give you my money again. How can I be working? You are not the one working, and all this money you are being, you are taking them and you are spending them anyhow. You are not even taking care of the children. She's the one taking care of the children, the school fees and everything. This man will just collect the money at the end of the month and spend it anyhow because is the man. When this lady went to report to the man's family, they said, yes, now she's supposed to collect your money. You are supposed to submit the money
He
to
owns
him.
you and owns your money.
Abio.
So let's connect. let's connect this to male privilege. Is another type of abuse, the male privilege. And I know
Yeah.
that the truth is that abuse goes both ways. There are female who are
Mhm.
abusers, but statistically all over the world, the percentage is more with men. And worse still in Africa, where we come from, where we have this patriarchal system of the man being the head, the father, the bobo tibo, the king that must be worshipped. Uh, so that's why you have a situation where maybe somebody is saying, I own you, I own your money, and I own even your brain. So the woman can be the one who is doing the right thing, the man is the one claiming the victory, stuff like that, things like that. But how do I put it? How do we give more example of situations where the male is dominating? And I would want us to also relate it to submission, because we are Christians, and one major Bible verse that they use to support this male privilege is that a woman must submit. A good wife has to submit. Mama, tell us before we come to Sake.
Yes, the scriptures that says wife submit to their own husband, but they don't read down to the portion that says submit one to another. Submit one to another. When God made Adam and Eve, he didn't tell Adam to dominate over Eve. He said dominate over the fowls of the air, the animals, the trees, and all that. So if you are talking about submission, submission should be both sided. It should be both of them should submit one to another. Not that someone will dominate another person. That is witchcraft. I think that is witchcraft for me. Trying to manipulate, dominate somebody. When you are supposed to dominate situation and circumstances around your life, you want to dominate somebody. Yes, so that's witchcraft.
Okay, Sake, I've seen a video, and I know it's a popular video, so I'm just going to mention the name. Pastor Chris Oyakilome was preaching of Christ Embassy, and he said, "Your husband is your master," and he even used Bible verses. I can't remember the Bible verses he used to support the claim that the husband is the master. So is a marriage supposed to be a master? Because if you have a master, then the other person is what? And not to go school. Maybe Sake will help us finish the English. If there's
Okay.
a master, who is the other person? Sake, tell us.
Before we start that kind of English, I will take it to another English.
Oh yeah,
When
tell
you're
me.
talking about dominate,
Eh.
we have to draw boundaries in dominating. Even though you are in a marriage, you are still individuals. So now, when you're talking about dominating, what does the head of an establishment does? The head of an establishment knows every single thing that is happening,
Mm-hmm.
makes the decisions, take responsibilities of what is happening in the organization, isn't it?
Yes.
But it doesn't go into the privacy of people in the organization. It does not streamline what they do in their own personal time, except in the time of the organization, what we meant to put into the what, into the focus of which they are in that situation in the first instance. So, in the case of dominating, I guess we should be careful on the lines in which we tread. For you to have someone you look up to that person for instructions, for advice, for taking responsibilities. If anything goes wrong, the first point of call is that person. The same way, when I'm driving, everybody in that car, their life is in my hands. So I have more pressure than everybody in that car. Likewise, a man that is responsible. So I will tell you that control stops where responsibility stops.
Hmm.
So you must learn how to draw the line on domination. Some people will give you the wheels because they know, yes, you are accountable for it. And you can't have two masters in the same boat.
So
And
are
you
you
can't even
saying?
have, it's not
uh,
compulsory to have slaves as well in that boat. We have masters and we have assistant masters. So if the wife decides to be an assistant master, kudos to her. If she wants to be the slave in the house, welcome. And if she wants to get off the boat, the door is opened.
Okay, so you're saying that responsibility goes with some form of control. So we cannot take the
Absolutely.
responsibility, we cannot take control out of responsibility. But does this control have to be coercive? That's the question here. Does it have to be, like, for example, someone will say, "Oh, respect the man. A man craves respect." Do you
Yes.
earn the respect, or do you just get it because you are a man and you are the father, so
The
you just want
moment the
to be
moment you start
respected?
craving for respect, you've lost it.
Okay.
The moment you start craving for it, you've lost it. And when you've lost it, it's best either that you find a way of getting it or you get out.
You always say get out. You
It
know
is
that
not a
get
do
out.
or die.
You know that get out in some very, very spiritual fairs, as you're talking as a kid, they'll be looking at you that you're not a Christian. No.
I, do I
This your get
do
out that
I
you're saying.
do I care?
He said,
Do,
do I
do
care?
I care? You know me from time. I don't I don't even look at faces. It's because of these faces that people are in the ground today. These same
Mm,
faces. They won't
mm,
be there when you're in that ground. They will not.
mm. So I
The,
totally agree with you that control, and I don't want to use the word control. I don't like control. I would say authority goes with responsibilities.
let me say let me polish that word control. The word control means that when there's a situation, you know who to call that will give you certain clue on how to go about it, and you follow it to the letter and you see that the result. That's control. You don't need to be there, but you know that, okay, if I call this person now, that I'm
Person
in
can
this,
control the situation.
simple, he's going to tell me what and what I need to do. You know that I'm going to come and tell you this is how you must live your life. No, that, even though you're husband and wife, it's not your business.
And I think,
That
sorry
is
to
where the
cut you,
line of
Sake,
domination is.
I think every woman craves that. I'm going to come to my Collins. Is it okay? Is it true to say that every woman craves a man who can actually give some measure of control and authority in a relationship? Because for me, I for one, in my experience, I think I would like to be able to know that I have someone I can go to who gives me sound advice, who can think with me. Although I'm a very, very strong willed person, but I mean, you know what I'm trying to say? No matter how big or how successful or how
You are
powerful a woman
you
is it
you
okay to
should.
say
A
that a
woman
woman
needs
actually
a
craves
pillar.
it? A
A,
woman needs a
a
pillar.
woman's nature is for them to have a pillar somewhere. Likewise, men. But a woman needs a pillar hidden somewhere that she knows that no matter what, when I bring this situation, this guy is gonna fix it.
Wow. So what if you are now in a relationship where the man is not a pillar? The woman
Problem.
is doing all the thinking, she's doing the
Problem.
planning. You can't run
Problem.
to him. He never has
Problem.
he never
So
has
I'm
solution.
already telling you that there's problem.
Mama, what do you think?
From my own perspective, I would like to say that that word control, I will not adopt that word control. I would rather pick up the word leadership. Leadership.
Providing
A man should
leadership.
be able to
Okay.
provide leadership, not control. That word control, it makes you look as if you don't have your own mind. You are not thinking. You are just there. So if you talk about leadership, somebody that is being given the responsibility, okay, maybe to drive from point A to point B. The person is driving from point A to point B. The person is in charge, not that word control. That's my own thought about it. And I believe marriage should not be about control, trying to outsmart somebody else. I want to believe marriage should be a balance, partnership. Marriage should be partnership, and marriage should be about purpose, and marriage should be about a vision, not trying to control, manipulate, and all that. Yeah, that's my own point of view.
I think, hold on, Sake. I know Sake is burning stuck, but I think I agree with you. This is what I was trying to say about the word control. Rather, and thank you, you have put it very well, leadership. And I think that what Sake is trying to say is that this leadership of this man must go with some form of authority. So we must expect that a man who is leading should also have a measure of authority over those. Of course, this is power, it goes together. You cannot give somebody a leadership position, for example, and not give them the authority to perform in that leadership role. I too, I don't think I like the word control. Okay.
I want to ask you a question. Why is Nigeria in problems today? Because the country has lost control. See, the word control has nothing to do with slavery.
Okay.
You said control. You made the use of in charge.
Yeah, leadership.
Can you be in charge and not maneuver things? If you can't maneuver things, you are not in control of it. That means the situation is controlling you. Life in which we live in needs for you to control it, or else it's going to control you. So if a leader cannot control situation, not control human beings, but control situation, we have been saying that everybody is entitled to himself. But if you have the same focus and you have the same aim, there are controls that have been put in place. There is no way we have what they call framework. What does framework work with? Controls.
Okay, because our time is flying now. And we have not brought out the big elephant, because as far as I'm concerned, there's one major one that is the main thing with abuse. The main one. Let's agree with Sake that you need to control situations, but be careful how you do that control. It's not a master-servant relationship. I don't agree with that word. I will never agree with it. Jesus did not come to us as a master. He came as a servant and won our love. For me, that is how love should be won. And this is what the Bible said. It says, as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. Christ did not love the church and lord over it. But by coming to us as a servant, he won our respect. And that is why we call him our Lord and our King today. This is our example. And I believe that is how it should be in the marriage relationship. That's God's original purpose. But let's come to the big elephant. This is the big elephant in the room that many people don't talk about. Because there are no physical signs, like in physical abuse. There are no emotional, there are no signs of neglect, like in maybe financial abuse, where you cannot evidently see this woman is being neglected or the children are being neglected. So it's not easy to pick up, and that is emotional and psychological abuse. This is the one that I think really messes with the brain of people, if it's okay to use that word. It is subtle, it is deceiving. Okay, tell me. Let's talk about some of the signs that will make someone know that they are emotionally being abused. Mama, you want to start first? You're muted, Mama.
Yes, I would like to say some things about emotional abuse. Emotional abuse has to do with when somebody is limiting your freedom to think by using words that are demeaning, by using words that are belittling, words that will go into your mind. You start thinking, am I living, or am I really dead, or am I still living, am I existing? You start doubting yourself. You don't know yourself anymore. You don't know who you are anymore because of what someone has been putting into your mind, telling you. The Bible says faith cometh by hearing, and hearing the word of God. The same thing, someone keeps telling you you are stupid, you are stupid. At the end of the day, you start thinking, am I not stupid?
You start
Because
believing it.
somebody, yeah, you start believing you are stupid. Like a sister was telling me that the husband was telling her that you look at you don't even know how to dress. You don't even know how to dress. This is someone that has a boutique that runs a fashion environment. Say you don't know how to dress. And she started looking so ugly, so old because of what is being put on her mind. So when someone is telling you stuff that don't rhyme with who you are, emotionally being abused, you're psychologically being abused, and it goes there to register in your brain, and your brain keeps accumulating negative things, negative thoughts. That's why you see people commit suicide these days, because they cannot take it anymore. They cannot. The mind is full of rubbish. They are being
Mm.
programmed to just take in. And you get to a time they cannot take it anymore. They jump into river, or they just see a car just coming on their way. They just run across the road, and that's their end. So this emotional abuse is deeper than just the physical abuse. Somebody can just slap you, and the pain is gone at that, maybe in the space
After a
of
few minutes.
like 10. Yeah, but that emotional abuse goes into your soul. The soul is being inflicted. The soul of that person is being inflicted. So emotional abuse is something that is deeper than we can just start talking about. It is deep. So over to you, Sake.
All right, Sake, tell us some signs that someone is being emotionally abused. How do I know that someone is emotionally abusing me? God forbid, not me. Anyways, go on.
When we're talking about emotional abuse, we're looking at it from one angle, but it is not from that angle. It is from manipulation.
One, good.
It's either from words, without even passing comments, without even saying any offensive words,
Mm-hmm.
but using manipulative situations, you can be emotionally abused. You could be the person that is vulgar among both of you, but you could be the person being abused. Why? Because manipulation is stronger than words. And the
Mm.
funniest thing is, when you're being manipulated, the person is actually working on your subconscious.
Mm.
And it goes deeper in a case where people that have an habit of reflecting on situations, then from there they start second guessing themselves. See, everything we've spoken about, everything still goes back to emotions, both from money, from sexual, from physical. Everything lands on the emotion. And trust me, someone that is emotionally damaged, even though he's with someone that is doing the right thing, he sees everything as negativity. So at that point, it's only God's grace and probably a moment of, let's say, period. Let me use period of 27 days to form a new habit that can actually help you to come out of an emotional abuse. That's just it, because you cannot identify it, you cannot lay your hands on it. You are now a slave to your thoughts. And the moment you're a slave to your thoughts, you make drastic, unreasonable decisions, and you end up being at fault. I can
Mm.
tell you today categorically, a lot of people that are being called beasts and animal for beating their spouse have emotional abuse problem. Let me tell you the plain facts. That is why, even though the person is not even trying to abuse you, or the moment the person uses a kind of voice that looks like what you have a phobia for, you draw a defensive line and you start fighting. That's just it. The most scared animals put on a scary face.
Mm.
It's as simple as that.
Hmm.
When you see people who are becoming too defensive on certain small emotional situation, I can bet you with you they are trying to cover up a wound that is paining them.
Okay. That's a serious one. I like the fact that he says that, these people are also wounded abusers, and that's the truth. It's the plain fact. Most abusers are people who have been abused in one way or the other, or who have experienced it. Even if they were not directly abused, they come from an abusive home, where coercion and control and manipulation have been used over time, and so they begin to. We said it last week, and I think I was the one who said it. That the longer you stay with an abuser, the more you can become one yourself if you're not careful. And this is the reason why it is very, very dangerous. We continue to perpetuate this sickening behavior by staying with it while not acknowledging that it is there. There are a whole lot of subtle little things that comes with um emotional abuse. For example, a man makes light of a situation. You are a woman, you are trying to say, look, this is how this thing hurts me. He doesn't take it. He's not listening. He doesn't care that you say this thing hurts you or this thing you don't like it. Like Mama was trying to say, you don't have a voice in the relationship. There is the one they call the gaslighting, and this one is also terrible because they even go as gaslighting means that you go to the point of making other people see this person as not being well. Because now in this situation where it's bad is, even when this person now go out to say, this is what I am going through, this is what is, people will not believe you because the abuser have already given the impression that Otinkolo, she's not well, that one, she's not, just making you already, before people, look like somebody who is sick. So by the time you're going to say, I'm going through this, they'll be looking at you like, okay, they said it before that she has started. So it makes it, people will not even believe you, what you're going through, which is a very, very confusing and terrible situation for anyone. They limit the abuse, make it look like it didn't happen, or even blame the person. One major language that most abusers like is, you made me hit you. I didn't want to do it. You made me do it. It's because you were shouting at me. If she shouted at you, uncle, shout back. Sister, if he was shouting at you, you to shout back if you must shout back. Why does it have to lead to slaps and, manipulation? So anyways, our time is up. So I'm trying to see if I can pull together a conclusion. But of course, the matter is ongoing. Like we have said, it's a very, very big and wide sea that we are swimming in, the issue of domestic abuse. And we are coming back again next Sunday by the grace of God. We are going to be looking at the legal frameworks around domestic abuse. You'll be surprised. Many times they say, oh, maybe in Nigeria, police don't take it serious. Oh, there are no laws in Africa. We are going to expose those laws so that you know how you can be protected. We are going to have lawyers here next week, Sunday, same time. You don't want to miss it. You want to know your right. You want to know how you can be helped with all of this abuse that we have analyzed today, all the different types and the symptoms. Maybe from what we're saying today, you're beginning to see that, oh, there's some form of abuse in my relationship. I am the abuser, or I am being abused. Next Sunday, by God's grace, we'll tell you how you can legally find help when it comes to domestic abuse. Thank you so much, Sake, again for your time. I know how busy you are, and I don't take it for granted that you're always there every time we call you. God bless and replenish you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
The things we talk about here, they will not easy to describe also, by the grace of God. God will protect and seal our own marriages and relationships. Mark Collins, thank you for coming. It's good to see you again, despite that it's online. I've missed you.
I have missed you too. Oh.
I
I've
know.
missed you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
You're
God
welcome.
bless you, my sister.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My love to the family. Thank you all so much, viewers, for joining us. Thank you for your comments, for your questions, and for your observation. Thank you to Patience. Patience was here last week, and she's been, giving us a lot of comments today. Pastor Mark Collins, husband of Mark Collins, has also been online, and he's just giving us a lot of, insights into what you're talking about. Thank you all, every one of you, whether I mentioned your name or not. Eukarya, I can see you are online. There are a lot of people who have joined us via YouTube and via Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you all so much for coming. And please keep a date with us again next week. The conversation is ongoing. It's Love and Domestic Abuse Part 3. And we are talking about the Lego framework. Thank you so much. Until I see you again next week, have a love-filled week, people. God bless you.